once the meeting is ready to start recording on Liberty Video Recorder. So start that guy. You can start him. We're ready.
You want to start this one or that one?
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
This
Start
one?
that. Yeah. And I think that does that start that?
Years ago,
No. Okay, then we're gonna start
So
that one
this
too.
one too.
sat back and said, the yard we were in had a
Okay,
series
that
of
one's
things,
recorded.
No, it should be. It should not be muted. I don't know.
had electricity
You
drops
see
in.
anything that says muted?
Wind them up and use them.
Stream should appear. We got. We're showing it on YouTube.
Makes perfect, it really makes perfect sense.
That's YouTube, right? I know that's OBS. Yeah, okay, we're streaming. We're here some move as you talk, which it is. Alright. It's done streaming. Click on the stream. You can see it's missing. It's okay, so we're good.
You know, you don't want anything, you know, something, that's it.
Oh my goodness.
Was it ready now? Okay, meeting is called to order. This is a regularly scheduled meeting for which the date, time, and location is set forth in the annual notice of meetings adopted by the Waldwick Planning Board at the reorganization meeting of January 2023. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, said annual notice has been filed with the Borough Clerk, a copy posted in the vestibule of the Waldwick Administration Building, and copies transmitted within 7 days after adoption to the official newspapers of the Borough as designated by the governing body, to wit, the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Raimondo?
Here.
Mayor Giordano? Mr. Schatz?
Here.
Mr. Orovitz?
Here.
Mr. Pasilico?
Here.
Mr. Misselwick? Ms. Battlementi?
Here.
Mr. Kowalski?
Here.
Mr. Verborch?
Here.
Mr. Kabibo?
We all rise for a moment of silent prayer on the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this point in the meeting where anybody who has business before the board that is not on the agenda is welcome to come forward. Seeing no one, we will move on to the next item. Approval of the minutes of the May 3rd, 2023 meeting. One minor correction on the printed copy the members have. Mr. Pasilico is listed as absent. He was present at the meeting.
I was not here for May 3rd.
Uh-huh. So she's
Sorry.
two corrections. Okay, and a motion to accept those minutes as printed with the two corrections would be in order. Motion by Stan, second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolutions, we have none. Applications, Cusco Management, sub 23-2.
Yes, good evening, Board. Michael Higgins, referring to Sound Liberty and Drawing on behalf of Cusco Management LLC. This is for 19 Houston Avenue, 23-27 Frederick Street. Those are lots 3 and 4. I guess for some housekeeping, council, would you confirm receipt of our data publication proof of service?
We have it?
That's,
I never get shown anything.
do you have anything with you?
I have a copy.
The 200 foot.
Yeah.
copy, or can we?
Could you keep it, and I suppose we mark that as exhibit A1.
Mr. Higgins, rather than wasting everybody's time, as an officer of the court, you're telling me that, everyone was mailed a copy?
Yes.
I will take that representation. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so, on to the application itself. We're proposing a boundary adjustment, between the two lots. There has an intersection of Frederick Street and, Houston Avenue. And for this, we require, minor subdivision approval with, C variance relief for, several existing non-conforming conditions that, will exist on the lots. These include, minimum side yard setback where, 10 feet are required in the village commercial district, and, proposed is on lot 3.01 to be 3.3 feet. And we also require accessory side yard setback, where 10 feet are required, and, we are proposing 2.6 feet for lot 3.01 and 0.5 feet for lot 4.01. The issue with this, it stems from an existing, boundary overlap, where the lot line for lot 3 extends onto and over the boundary for lot 4 and vice versa. So, there currently is a boundary line agreement in place, governing the area in question, that allows both, the owners of both lots to use that portion that, goes over onto theirs. So effectively, we're, memorializing the existing way that the properties have been used for years, and attempting to correct a past error. So I know the board's reviewed our papers, and, I don't want to belabor the point. I think the subdivision, plan speaks for itself. We really only have one witness tonight, which is, Charles Height, the professional planner, licensed in the city of New Jersey.
Mr. Height, would you, raise your hand? You swear testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do,
Please state your name, spell your last for the record.
yes. Charles Height, last name is spelled H-E-Y-D-T.
And you're a planner and surveyor or planner?
Now, I am just a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey. So I did not prepare the subdivision, but I did review it, discuss it with the surveyor, and discuss the variance.
And the subdivision plan was prepared by John Butler, who is a licensed surveyor in the city of New Jersey.
Mr. Height, give us the benefit of your education experience, please.
Yes, I do have to. So along with being a licensed professional planner in the state, I also am a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. That's a national certification to keep our credit maintenance up to date. I also hold a master's in city management planning from Rutgers University, Clausen School of Planning and Public Policy, as well as practicing in the field, specifically in New Jersey, for the past 12 years.
All right. Members of the board, Mr. Height is presented to you as an expert in the field of planning. As such, he is able to not only state facts, but he can also render opinions to the extent that you find his opinions to be helpful or to square with your understanding of the situation. You are fully entitled to rely upon them. However, if your analysis of the situation varies from that of Mr. Height, you are not bound to accept his opinions. Mr. Higgins?
Okay, Charles, if you don't mind, testifying to the meets the variances that we are seeking.
did, as I mentioned, review the subdivision plat. I did discuss with the application team some of the circumstances in which we find this issue. It's really a discrepancy between two deeds and an overlap of the two that creates what is essentially the ownership of the same land between two parties. So this is a corrective measure in its truest form. All the requested relief tonight is what we consider bulk variance or falls into the subsection C in the municipal land use law under powers that this board can grant. As Mr. Higgins mentioned, we are dealing with two existing lots, and two existing lots will remain. There are no physical improvements, no changes, no additions to any buildings, no enlargements of any parking spaces, and no improvements of that nature. Just for added clarity, for lot 3, as per the deed, there's 11,664 square feet. The corrected area for lot 3 is 11,418 square feet. So
I'm
that's
sorry, can I have that again?
Yes. Both numbers.
Yes, please.
So as per the deed, lot 3 is 11,664 square feet, and the corrected proposed subdivision is 11,418 square feet.
Thank
For
you.
lot 4, the deed has it at 23,516, and then the corrected subdivision has it at 22,667.
I have the first number again, 23,001?
500, 516, yes.
516, thank you.
Okay, so that's the general magnitude. There's a reduction of 246 square feet and 849 square feet. These reductions, again, do not limit either property in terms of their functions and uses on the property. With respect to the specific variances, lot 3 has 3 that we've identified and reviewed. Minimum lot width, where 75 feet is required, it's the proposed would be 68.15. That's actually an increase because that lot is changing in size from 62.15, so effectively gets a little longer along Frederick Street. With respect to the setbacks, 10 feet is required for the minimum one side yard, 20 feet for both sides. What's existing today, or what is proposed today is 3.3 feet for the one and 37.4 feet for combined. So we comply with the combined side yard for lot 3, that's the residential dwelling along Frederick, but we are deficient in the one setback. Along this side yard, there's trees, actually that scale up to 2 stories. It provides a nice screen and buffer from a landscaping standpoint. Those will remain there today. That offers some separation between the corner use that ice cream use, the commercial use at the corner, and that will remain in its existing condition. So with respect to the setback between the principal structure and lot C, I see no impairment of having the residential dwelling close to that proximity. There's plenty of separation and still light and air. The ice cream shop, the retail shop at the corner is approximately 40 feet from the house, so there's plenty of light and air between the two structures, principal structures. With respect to the side yard setback, this is in the rear of the property. There's a 10-foot minimum required, and on lot 3, it's 2.6 feet being proposed. Again, no physical change. This is in the rear, and it's passive area. It's a 1-story accessory garage structure, and it's not encroaching on any other properties along the side yard. When we move to lot 4, again, this is the corner property, the larger property. That also has a rear yard accessory structure. So again, the minimum setback for accessory structures is 10 feet, where this is essentially where we had to strike the line. It's 0.5 feet being proposed because this is the more or less the easiest side yard setback to draw, and we created, or the surveyor created that proposed subdivision line nearest to this structure. So that is the worst proposed scenario in terms of the side yard setback with this application. But again, just as these accessory structures are existing, their garages or sheds, I see no substantial detriment to having those existing conditions remain, notwithstanding the relief necessary. So that's the positive criteria as I see it. You could argue this as a C1 hardship, meaning that property owners aren't always aware of what the deeds say and how it translates into this overlap. It's a corrected measure, but the existing properties are what they are, and there's no proposed change. However, I think this is actually a benefit outweigh the detriment because it's a corrected measure. Whenever we take action, an approval by this board to remedy an existing conflict in zoning issues, I think that's where the benefits outweigh the detriment in terms of the application. So that's the C2 argument. Again, I do think we're furthering purposes of the municipal law and land use law to provide the appropriate use and development of all lands in the state, to promote the public health and safety morals. Rectifying this overlap does guide the use of the property, so that's purpose A. And then also purpose C, to provide for adequate light, air, and open space. Again, no physical changes. There's really just a corrective measure. There's still plenty of light and air to the residential units on both of these properties, as well as the commercial uses. With respect to the negative criteria, I did take a look at the, obviously the zoning ordinance as well as the master plan. This is in the Village Center 2 district, which does allow for a mix of uses between residential and commercial. The most recent study for this area is actually an area in need of rehabilitation. The board probably aware of that. It's been, I think, it was prepared in the late 2010s. I don't have the exact date of it, but the next step of the redevelopment plan hasn't occurred yet, so we don't have any real direction as to preferred uses, preferred level of development. But again, keeping the existing conditions wouldn't impair any future development as per a future redevelopment plan. So I see no impairment of the zone plan, zoning ordinance. This is actually a really nice corner street right by the train station. So we can continue, notwithstanding the approval of the variance tonight. And that's really the direct testimony I have. The properties will function as they are currently functioning.
I don't feel the need to belabor the point that there's no physical occupancy of the property, and they will continue to be used as they have been used. So I think that concludes our presentation, but we'll be happy to answer any questions before that.
Mr. Hyde, one or two quick things, just for your notes, that area in need of redevelopment from back in 2010, that died a fast and flaming death as soon as the neighbors heard about it. That being said, there is a new plan in effect, and it's a non-condemnation plan. Yeah, but it grows differently. It grows on an angle. Just for my edification, is it your testimony that none of the existing variances are actually exacerbated, only ameliorated, or about the same?
No, the side yard setback on lot 4 is exacerbated. That's where we're proposing 0.5. That's where we had to kind of strike the closest side yard setback.
Okay, so that's the only one that's being exacerbated in any way.
Correct.
And was it your testimony that that's by half a foot?
Yeah, that's it at its minimum point.
Thank you. All right. I've got what I need.
Okay. Mr. Higgins, you said that this started off as a boundary line agreement?
Yes.
And why are we eliminating the boundary line agreement?
So there is a boundary line agreement in place right now, but for the purposes of clean title for both properties, it's best for the applicant to memorialize that and make it official and correct this error where there's currently a boundary overlap. And,
So the boundary line agreement doesn't appear in any of the title documentation? Is that just, as Cliff said, edify me?
I do not believe so, no.
Okay. Couple of other questions. The back corner of the property, as it appears on this, the drawing that Mr. Butler prepared, there's a small rectangle, 4.2 by 3.3. Whose property does that fall under?
This is,
Next to the garage on the lot 4. To the left of the garage, upper corner.
I believe this would be part of the area that's overlapping, but it would be for
So-
lot 4. extending
Are we extending that boundary line, that 3.3 feet, and then bring it across and then back down? Is that what's happening, or are we just drawing a straight boundary line across the back?
It would be a straight.
Just straight 4.2? Okay.
Back.
So that's either lot 4 or public services property?
Yes.
Okay. And I know you were concerned with lot 3. Now, lot 4, using that rectangle is kind of a starting point. The boundary lines for public services property seem pretty straight. They don't have any of these kicks in them. Is it possible that there's another issue on that other side of lot 4, or is that, that just wasn't considered as part of what you folks were doing?
I'm sorry, as in a public service.
The public service is that big piece of property in between, runs all the way across. And then if you see, coming in from the left-hand side, we pick up that 3.3 feet and then run across lot 4.
Okay.
Is it possible that there's another issue with the property line at that point on lot 4?
No,
Or you just didn't,
the,
you have no way of knowing?
the sole purpose of the application is to really correct the boundary.
Lot 3.
Back to lot. Actually, both lots will be adjusted.
Yeah.
That line is shown in the middle.
Well, by changing 3, you are effectively changing 4.
Right.
Yes. Okay. You follow what I'm saying, Cliff? Like this is all, just run straight across. It's kind of unusual that public service would let them kick in like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll be back before us again.
yeah, that's,
Okay. But as far as the applicant is concerned, that they're not tying into this little box in here.
is this frame shed still there?
According to the survey, it is.
And we've got a boundary line going right through?
Yeah.
Or is that a hard boundary, or is that the public service right away?
That's public service right away. That's all.
So,
The neighbors have kind of,
so it's really an easement?
yeah, unofficial.
All right, so basically, who the heck knows what's in Never Never Land?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the idea is to get it out of there.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's all I have. Any members have any further questions? Go ahead, John.
Is there going to be any effect on the property taxes of either lot?
I think it's really a question for the tax assessor. I can't say how they would take this to impact the value of the property, but it does change the dimensions.
Yeah, it's a reduction in lot area, so in terms of the assessed value, your land value would be decreased. We're talking
Minutia.
tens or maybe 100 back in terms of tax dollars.
Any further questions from the board members? Nobody?
So basically, we're talking about 151 square feet.
That may be one dimension. There's a few here, I don't know what the 150 you're referencing.
Well,
The overlap? Yeah.
I'm kind of looking and saying, lot 4 is gaining 151 square feet. Now, presumably, unless something
It's going from
peculiar-
23,516 to 22,667, which is almost a reduction of 900 square
Right,
feet.
I'm sorry,
That's fine.
The overlap is
Got
full
it.
property.
Stop mathing, they promised me no math.
That's lawyer.
They lied every time. That guy was looking at the house.
Going to ask our professional. I did not remember seeing anything in your memo that required any testimony by the applicant. You're satisfied with what we've heard tonight? Nothing changes anything or affects your memo at all?
Yeah, that's correct. There's no site improvements, and all the back checked out in terms of a new modular agreement, so there's no question.
He has an engineering degree. so
That's
he's
how he
much-
gets to do the
He's
math.
much better at the numbers.
I always defer to Jason when it comes to math.
Okay. That's, if we don't have any members of the public, so there's nobody to request any questions of. Is that there? You're finished with the presentation? Very straightforward. I don't see any need to beat this one to death. Do we want to have the board attorney draw up a resolution? Motion by Mark, second by Paul Schatz. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Ramundo?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Orvik?
Yes.
Mr. Basilico?
Yes.
Ms. Bedelinci?
Yes.
Mr. Kowalski?
Yes.
Mr. Verboort?
Yes.
Mr. Capivo's not here.
Okay. Harris, and you're in.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck with the next phase of the redevelopment plan.
That's up to the mayor and council.
Yeah, this is a joint application.
Okay, we have no further applications. Old business, do we have any old business to address? Nothing? New business? Mr. Schatz, we got anything from the mayor and council?
Nope.
Nothing? No surprises?
No surprises.
All right, in which case, motion to adjourn. Motion by Stan, second by John, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.